Hey everybody, I see folks are starting to jump in. Sorry, we're a couple minutes late here, just working through a few technical pieces. We should have everybody on here shortly and we will get started. If you can, just start in the chat, kind of telling us where you're calling in from, where you're joining us from. And then if you have questions, please use the Q&A feature. So Blake will be joining us very shortly, and we'll get started here and getting into it. We've got Albert here from the world-class off-road leading performance lighting brand in Rigid Industries. And Albert, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to see what kind of people show up and what questions we can answer for everyone.
Heck yeah. Well, I know all of our members have been sending in a ton of questions in and around lighting and getting everything set up. So I know we've got a lot of stuff prefab, but we've also got a ton of questions that I'm sure are going to come in from all these wonderful folks that are chatting. So why don't we get started? Albert, I'm going to pass it over to you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you and Rigid and kind of what you all do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Albert Torres. I'm the National Sales Manager here at Rigid Industries. I've been with Rigid Industries for a little over 11 years, 11 and a half. It's been a great ride being able to see just the innovation and technology that we brought to the market, just bringing a whole new experience to the drivers out there. You know, everyone always plans to leave during the day, but no one ever plans to make it back at night. So we were able to, bring that safetiness and that kind of output and application to the market, and just bringing innovation after innovation to see where our brand has grown today, not only in the aftermarket, but even in the OEM. You're seeing this come off the line on some rigs. So that it's been fun. It's been fun.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I know I've been shocked to see. Obviously, I knew you guys from the aftermarket space, as you really just built some incredible lights there, but now seeing how integrated that you are on all these OE products and seeing the OEs appreciate you, I know has been awesome to see, because now right from the factory floor, you're getting the best in class lighting solution that you can get.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Oh, and Blake, the man himself, he is here. Blake, we are live. So thank you so much. I know we had some technical stuff there, but thanks for jumping on.
Dude, that link would not work. I was running in circles for 30 minutes with a new phone, like sweating just like this piece of shit.
Well, fair enough. And I am so happy that you were able to get it all set up and be here with us in Rigid. We've got Albert here from the team, who I know you know. So it is great to have you here. And thanks for being a part of this, even through all those hassles.
No worries, man. I'm stoked to be here. This is actually my first Elite Week Masterclass. So I'm excited to learn some things and just take this in as also a host and a first timer. So I'm gonna let you guys roll with it, and I'll just chime in when you need me.
For sure, you got it. Here's my first question for you, though. Blake, do you want to just do a quick intro on yourself? We kind of highlighted it earlier before you jumped on, but would love to get just your kind of self-description of who you are, what you do, why you're on Rigid.
My name is Blake Wilkey, from San Diego, California. Pretty much grew up going to the desert, riding dirt bikes, three-wheelers, ripping around with my family's friends, sand rails and Volkswagen bugs. And I guess I've just never steered away from it, and had a lot of different jobs. But now my career is to build pretty epic things, such as everything back here. It's a little bit of a disorganized chaos right now, but we are thrashing, and Rigid's been a staple name for quite some time now in the industry. I know they were some of the first to manufacture the LEDs, and I mean, I just always saw them as the dominant elite brand. It was them and KC, and to be able to work with them now is just pretty freaking rad, and kind of give them some input and work on things behind the scenes that other people don't get to see. And yeah, so it's just kind of like I don't know, still kind of a surreal childhood goal, and that's came to life. And Yeah.
Heck yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about that, Albert. I would love to hear from you a little bit about why racing is such a critical part of the rigid formula. I feel like you guys are everywhere when it comes to that type of stuff, and would love to get your thoughts on how that bleeds into the product.
Yeah, I mean, it all started there. I was lucky enough to join Rigid when the owners were still young. We were still kind of on the uptick and making the brand. And the coolest thing that I was able to see was just the introduction of technology. Blake even mentioned a couple of the other brands out there, and there's been lighting out there, but when Rigid stepped into the scene, we brought innovation. It was a big transition. HID is still a very powerful light out there. But with HID, you have a lot of variables. You have the bulb, the maintenance there, you have the ballast. So when the LED got introduced and it being a solid state, just the imagination of our engineers just took over, and we're able to put out a lot of light out of a very compact unit. And that did wonders, especially when it came to the power management side of things. These race trucks, they run a lot of juice. They got a lot of things they got to worry about. So adding lighting to that, bringing an LED to the market was phenomenal. Less power take, but more output. So seeing that, Rigid do that from the beginning was pretty cool to see that. And the owners, at the time, they're just enthusiasts themselves. Racing in the Nora, a couple different races down in the Baja, just guys that were in the lifestyle, bringing a product to not only make the market better, but also for themselves and them being enthusiasts themselves.
Yeah, I think that enthusiast DNA really shines through, and just the capability of the product, but two, the durability of the product, right? Like that's always something that you're concerned about when you're out off-road and away from everything. And that seems like a really critical piece that's built into the products right from when it comes from y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Every year there's new stuff that comes out to the market, even just material-wise, from the polycarbonate lens, things like that. So again, just the evolution of lighting from a glass, front, and then you having to, in the off-road side, you're getting a lot of debris, a lot of rocks, a lot of brush, destroying your lights out there. So us bringing a very rigid product to the market, the integrity was there, the lifetime warranty. That's a great selling point for us, because it's not because it's an inexpensive product that's easy for us to replace. It's because once it leaves this factory, we don't see it come back. And when things happen, the lifetime warranty is there to stand behind it, because we are a premium product.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and that makes a ton of sense. Blake, I know you've gotten to race everywhere from Crandon to Baja all the way through. What's one of the things that you've seen as you really put this product through the paces and really help differentiate it when you're out there, when it counts and you're racing head to head with folks?
I mean, we have different lights for many different aspects. If we're rock crawling in the Hammerhead, we got the rock lights. If we're going through the short course stuff, we usually have only a couple lights on there because they're bright enough and we kind of already know the track, but just a little added safety for being able to see holes that develop, keep the weight down and still have a little something. You don't need high output. I think the coolest product that they've brought to the market in a while is the 360 series. It was so cool and so universal, and it fit in the headlight buckets of the Class 11, as well as in Jaws, the Chi Bug, with the 6-inch. The 4-inch we have on the front of Megalodon for some kind of side shooters with 10-inch bar. All their lights have killer output, and that collab with Shreddy and doing the covers kind of still gives you output, but allows you to personalize it to run either the teal or the pink lens covers, which give off a different light spectrum, essentially, with a different tint to it. That actually does make a difference in the dusty conditions, and it gives you style points, and it also protects the lenses. So if you're driving on the street and you have a dark road, you can flick them on. They're not overpowering bright. People are still going to flash at you, turn these freaking things off. But it also gives you the safety aspect of protecting the light, but also the cool factor. And I mean, we've ran so many different types of products. They're DSSs, the side shooters,
Yep.
or the side-by-side stuff, you know, ripping out in Oregon, with the amber setup now too, that I switched over to. Those DSSs, man, when you're in the tight woods and like you got trails that are dip, dodging and diving left, and then openings, and or for safety for other enthusiasts, it really kind of allows you, instead of having the light pointing forward, it kind of gives you that side peripheral vision, which can alert someone else that, you know, you're that you're traveling in the direction you are, to not only add safety for you, but other drivers as well that you might not even see.
No, I think that's a really good point. That's going to transition us to the next question. Is you talked a lot about different lens colors and just different types of light that you're projecting while you're out there. I'd love to hear from both of you guys. We had a bunch of questions that came in about this in the pre of when should I run clear? When should I run amber? You brought up the blues and the pinks, Blake. Like, what recommendations would you have for folks as they're getting their rig set up with those different types?
I mean, if there's zero dust and you're out on the trail, and depending on the output you want, again, there's, you know, some people like it freaking just illuminated, like lighting the night. You know, that's a clear situation. You know, if there's a little bit of dust, they have actually a few different types of ambers. They have something that's more like an OEM that can be used in more like snow conditions, which will help make it like a whiteout and illuminate the snow, which when you're in the snow using a very bright high output light, your distance it actually hurts you more than it helps you. So the kind of lighter colored ambers are the go-to. They have a new amber cover that's actually incorporated into the lens, which doesn't take as much output out of the light, which allows you in dust or like say Baja scenarios or Glamis scenarios. It gives you enough output to not create a whiteout, but also shine through it to where you still get depth out of that light. And you can call these guys and they'll help dial you in. You know, you don't have to be shy with Rigid. They have great customer service if you don't know, or people that haven't watched this, or if they forget in a month when they're ready to order lights. You know, just don't be shy. I mean, I call anyone and everyone that I have questions to, and you can tell a lot about a company by their customer support. And even before we got hooked up with Rigid, their customer support, I remember, was always solid.
Yeah, Blake's absolutely right. You know, if you guys are just looking to understand, you know, hey, this is my bill and what is it that I need, always call our customer service team. We have a great team. I know Blake's worked with our customer service manager, Jackie. She's great. She has a phenomenal team, and the team isn't just, hey, you know, I placed an order, do you have tracking on it yet? No, this is like, I have 97 Ford Ranger, this is what I got going. And they'll go through the process with you and say, all right, you know, do you have any lighting on there? Where are your voids? This is our product that can fit those voids. Or what kind of conditions do you usually drive in? You know, is it your dune rig, or are you up in the mountains, up in the woods, you know, a lot of switchbacks? You know, Blake touched on a lot of good points there, not only from the color tent, but even to the style. You know, ever since Rigid started, our racers have always ran with our amber LEDs. Amber LED, you know, the way it works is there's a color spectrum. The closer you get to red, the better the visibility punches through there, but you can't run red to the front. So you got to slim it back. And as you come back, you know, you get into your amber and your yellows and things like that. We've always had an amber LED that we ran with our racers, but we've always have had our yellow covers as well. Ever since we started. So the reason why we went with the yellow cover is you don't know the conditions that you're gonna either start in or end up in. So the cool thing is you have your clear white lights on there. All of a sudden you were in the front of the pack, now you're in the back of the pack, or you know, it gets dusty and cloudy because everyone's just shredding out there. Or all of a sudden here comes some fog or some rain. You grab those covers out of your glove box, slap them right onto your light. No tools needed, just slap them right on there. They grab on, they don't rattle off, and all of a sudden you go from a cool white temperature to a yellow that's going to help you punch through that element. So as I was saying, you know, we've ran with an amber LED in the past, but it, you know, back to Blake's point on the cool points, There's a lot of cosmetic decisions that come now too when it comes to building your rigs. Yes, I know I need light. There's a lot of light options out there, but what also makes the rig look good? What looks like it belongs there? That's something that Rigid really focuses on when we're doing our designing. So like our DSS that Blake spoke about, we were the first to market to have any kind of side shooting technology, and that's what the DSS is. It's our dually side shooter. You can look all this up when that released and everything else released. We were the first to market with that, and that just gave us a whole nother, plethora of options when you're lighting up your rig. Now you have typically mounting one light to go forward and one light to kind of pitch it out a little bit so you see what you're turning into or what's coming around the corner. This light is doing both out of one application, shooting forward, and then the side spill shooting it to the side. We sell that in a single that has side spill on both, or we sell it in a pair so that if you're going on that A-pillar, there's nothing on the inside, so it's not blinding you inside the cab. It's safety first, 2 hands on the wheel and full throttle. So we've really touched base on that. We recently released out our Amber Pro. Our Amber Pro is a darker tone, matches more of the OEM, also a little bit closer to that red on the color wheel, but it actually pushes out a little bit closer to what a true amber LED would do. So now we have options. There's some people that like that yellow. We have that yellow cover. There's some people that like the amber. We have the amber cover. There's a lot of people that don't want the cover. They just want that full fixture to be amber at all times. We also have that in an Amber Pro line. So the color temperature is a big thing that we think about when we're designing our lights, and the cool factor. I think everyone can agree that the slickness of our product really just looks really top notch, really premium. I mean, that's what led us into our relationship with the OEMs, and that's why when you buy a Ford Gen 3 Raptor, you're getting rigid fog lights in your bumper. If you're a Toyota guy and you're upgrading to your TRD, that's why Toyota goes with rigid and puts those on your TRD package. So there's a lot of aesthetics also that we look into, not just the innovation and technology.
No, that's a really good point. And honestly, I know when we were initially talking about what lighting partner that we wanted to add into the onX Elite program, that's why we went with Rigid, and why you're our exclusive lighting partner for it is because of all of those things, that innovation, that technology, and quite frankly, just the best in class performing off-road lights that you can get is a big part of that. And for the folks on the phone, don't forget, if you're an Elite member, or even if you're not an Elite member yet, you can upgrade and save right now for Elite Week an extra 25% off. So the folks at Rigid have been super generous on that, and there's no better time to upgrade the lighting on your rig. And as Blake and Albert both said, if you've got questions, one, hit them in the chat right now. I see a few of them that are popped in there. We'll get to those. But also, when you're doing your build, call into the Rigid customer service line. There's a great bunch of folks, and they'll help you really get your rig dialed in. So that is killer.
Absolutely.
Blake, I'm gonna flip back to you for a second on Urban Assault. You've done some pretty crazy things in Urban Assault videos. I think you might have something coming out here pretty soon as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about what goes into that when you're dialing in your rig to do some of this just wild videography that's so cool that we all love?
I mean, yeah, it's dropping on August 13th. August 11th, we're doing a premiere at Dixon Flannel Co. in Arizona, in Tempe.
Killer.
And then in San Diego, we changed venues. We were going to do something at the beach that was 21 and up, but we changed venues to something just on the outskirts of downtown San Diego, so it can be 21 and or all ages. It's not just 21 and up.
Sweet.
But pretty much it's been over a year and a half since the first time we went and scouted it, and started just devising this shoot. It's very raw, it's very real, it's very colorful. Features, there's a lot of stuff that's not staged, there's some stuff that is, but dude, it was an undertaking, and we just locked in today actually and gave the deposit for the San Diego location. Every day I spend at least like an hour or two still delegating it, up to the month before it was up to 5 hours a day, just with making sure the car's prepped, I'm making to-do lists. I'm communicating with like 30 people because we didn't have a big budget to make this happen. And Rigid stepped up to the plate and definitely helped. So it's going to be super punk rock. And for the cost that we shot it with, or our budget that we shot it with, definitely wasn't enough. I'm coming a little out of pocket, but it's a dream come true to be, in the position that I'm at where I have a freaking trophy truck right now. It might be in a bunch of pieces, but it's coming back together, and it's hot as shit. I've been sweating my balls off, but I want this thing to look top notch for this video that is top notch. So yeah, hopefully people can make it to that Arizona or San Diego location, or in TJ under the arch. We're also doing it on the 13th, and it drops the 13th at 5 o'clock.
I know we'll be counting it down, and we'll be waiting on seeing it, because undoubtedly I'm sure it sounds like you have elevated that experience even more, and it's just going to be incredible content.
Thanks.
Guys, why don't we jump? We've had a few questions coming in through the Q&A, and I'd love to kind of hit you guys with them live. Alex had one about chase lights. So is it better to have a solid chase lights or a flashing chase light when you're out?
You can have whatever you want. Rigid's rear light bar you can program it to basically change, change between colors, flashing modes, putting blinkers and shit on them. Like there's, I forget how many modes, but there's a lot of modes, because I know when I go to set lineup, I'm like changing the mode like at least like 20 plus times to where I find the mode that I want. And then once it's set, it's set, but you can still change it again in the future. You just have to basically apply power to one of the wires, and trigger it to kind of go between the modes.
Yeah, so any one of our lights, in general, you can just put a third component to make it flash. I mean, anyone with a switch panel, you got Switch Pros out there. They're a great product. You double tap that button, all of a sudden that light goes from a solid to a flashing. But yeah, you can run it solid or flashing. I think a lot of people run the flashing just because, at the end of the day, it's for safety. You go out there, you pick up a razor and stuff like that, and a lot of the dust starts just covering these lights. Output starts to get covered. So our lights, and being premium and the high output, gives you that extra visibility, even when that that silt dirt just starts to get on there and starts giving you a cover on there. The output's still there. So the flashing, it's incorporated more on the safety side. Just keeps on flashing for you. It keeps everyone that's behind you kind of attentive that there's someone ahead of you, and making sure you're keeping a safe distance. But yeah, I mean, we have a couple different options on the rear side. I think people tend to forget to the rear, that you need lighting back there besides just reverse. You also need, to have, depending what you're building, there you go, there's that chase bar. That chase bar is phenomenal. You can get your running lights, turn signals, stop light, or you can put it in the independent chase lights, like he has on the Slug Bug. Those are one color. But those are great lights. Both of those come with a surface mount, or you can go with a tube clamp. So if you're grabbing onto a tube, you got that mount for you, or if you're just mounting surface, those are great.
And they have utility lights underneath it on the bottom side here too. So it literally will illuminate everything inside the Slug Shark as well.
Oh yeah, and especially on a UTV, that's where you keep the cooler, that's where you keep the cold beer. You got to know what you're digging for back there. So you have that nice courtesy light. Also, if you're relocating, a lot of Jeep guys relocate their license plate with the night license plate light as well. But rear lighting, we have a really good section of rear lighting, from independent pods to the full bar with a lot of features.
These are the DSS. These are the side shooters. So you can see there's 3 LED bulbs here, and then 6 on the front face, and then there's nothing on the driver's side. I've had these since day one, 3.5 years. I've hit a lot of bushes. I've broken both of these mirrors off. These things are still charging. These are the 360 series inside of the Slug Shark. Ain't going nowhere, baby. With the Shreddy covers. Jaws has 7 of them across the top, which is up there in my abyss, and then also for the front bumper, 2 of them. But I'll also show you guys some other cool ways how we incorporate some of these lights. But I'll let you guys go to your other things real quick. Whatever other topics you guys got.
Cool. Yeah, no, Blake, keep walking. We'll definitely come back. We love seeing the product in real life and on some of the coolest rigs that are out there. One of the questions we've had. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's a single row behind the grill. So it's like stock, it's curved. I made a custom mount. It actually matches the radius of Big Booty Judy. Very, very good. The toter home, these lights absolutely suck, but I got the adapt lights on the front, and then these are these popped off covers here. So you can, oh shit. So you can go, with your solid state, just your clear, or these covers just pop right on, boom. And this thing, when it's idling, these are shaking like no other, because this big diesel just lugs, and those lights have helped across the country more than you know, probably saved my actual life. Hammerhead, these lights also suck. Side shooters, that's all we normally run with. No big deal. The boat's even got rigids on it. That old truck could definitely use them as well. And then what I really want to show you is kind of how those amber lights, when you got to talking, how those amber lights on Kevin's truck really work well. But he has, for his truck out in the desert, he goes up to 100 miles an hour in this thing. And he has the pink kind of collab light that we did. This is a 10-inch dual row, so it's not even big. And then the side shooters, and then these are just for like the street, so he doesn't get in trouble, and they suck. But when he's in the desert, this is all the light he has on his Ranger. And for the tail lights, he has a standard amber here that he has programmed to flash. And then his tail lights are mounted sideways, so these act as a tail light, a running light, a blinker. Unfortunately, you're not going to get that bottom auxiliary. Actually, yeah, when he hits reverse, this thing also changes color, and these both light up white. So those are some really cool ways that we've incorporated a lot of rigid stuff here at the compound.
Heck yeah. Always love seeing it in real life. And Blake, you showed a lot of different cool stuff. And Albert, we've had a couple of questions come in around installation and setting angles. And so Joel, I know you had that one. Sam, you were talking a little bit about best lights for being installed in a grill. Like when you're looking at a fresh rig, what recommendations would you have for folks to say, here's some good ideas on how to set it up?
Yeah, so the best thing about our lights that I love is, it can be a little bit intimidating. There's so many different families that we offer, but a great way to slim all those options down is we offer you 3 pretty much optics. You got your spot at 10 degree, your flood at 25 degree. Everybody has to remember that when we say flood in the off-road market, we're talking flood in the distance. So it's going to cone out. We're not talking, we're on the fleet trucks, the flood is for like reverse. For us, that's to diffuse the rear lighting. So we got your 10 degree spot, your 25 degree flood, and then your 45 degree drive. Those are the 3 optics that we lean on. That's our bread and butter. And then what we do is we put them in different form factors. So it's not like if you choose one series, you're kind of limiting yourself. Not at all. It's the way we like to talk to someone that when they're trying to figure out what kind of light setup is, how much real estate are we working with? What is the model that you like? And what is the model that's going to fit there? All right. Say it's the 360s. Perfect. Now we're in the 360s. All right. So now what do you want these lights to do? Do you need distance because you're full throttle, you're opening up, you need to see what's out there? Or maybe you already have a nice pair of distance lights and you're trying to see more spread, you're trying to see more of what you're turning into and get some more width out of it, then we'll put you in either a drive or a flood. So that's kind of how all our models work is they all run the same optics. They're just in different form factors because we also have aesthetic. Some people they're building something new, their brother has a truck or their friend has a truck and he's got the pods, he's got the squares, I want to go round, or he's got the light bar, I want to go independent heads. So there's a lot of different options on the aesthetic side that's going to fit you. And then obviously, again, the real estate that you're working with, if you get a roof rack, overlapping is a big topic that's happening, and everyone's different on their setup. So you get different options of real estate for you to sneak in a light, or maybe you have a blank canvas and you build around your light. But there's a lot of different options for you, and you just have to know, what is it that I'm needing? Am I needing some width? Am I needing some distance, or am I needing a little bit of both? For distance, I lean on spot. For some width, I lean on drive. Drive gives you that nice 45. That's what Blake has on the slug. He has those on his 8-pillar. So it just depends what you need on output, and then what you think is going to look sexy on the truck.
And a lot of your lights, though, have the combination of both the flood and the spots, and or like the Adapt series. There's several different optics on the Adapt series, and you can also set it up for working with your speed through GPS, to where essentially the slower you're going, the more of a driving light it becomes. The faster you go, the more of a spot it becomes. So they have lights that adapt as well, and a ton of different options that have a blend of the two. But the TT Bug, I mean, we're doing some pretty excessive speeds in the desert, and we have 3 different optics on the TT Bug. We cover all of our bases. So yeah, it's definitely not, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is one size fits all, but again, just honing in on it with the rigid rep, and they'll get you dialed. Or ask me the question later on when you're ready, but you're not ready to pull the trigger. Don't waste my time.
Yeah, and the reason why we have different options on the optics is, you'll see, if you start, there's different hurdles for everyone. Sometimes you're building on a budget and you got to get the wheels, the tires, the suspension, everything you don't see underneath the truck, right? That costs the most. And then all of a sudden you're going to drop some lights. So we've been able to build ourselves up where we have different tiers, but you still end up with the great integrity of rigid, the lifetime warranty. We've been able to do that. If you go and start looking up some of those Amazon lights, it happens, but you'll notice they're all just different brands with a lot of the same optics on the inside. And that's kind of what the old technology is. It's a bright bulb and a pan-dish reflector, and hopefully it's enough, right? Oh, let's just put a brighter bulb, but it's still the same pan reflector. So what Rigid does with our optics, we literally bend the beam of the light and we get the light where we want it. And that's why there's different options to the optics. They're not just all the same in every series. It's what type of light do you need? Blake also touched base on our Adapt series. Our Adapt series has been a phenomenal light. Actually happen to have one here. We ended up putting quite a bit of different optics inside, so you can see the side shooters, the spot in the center, and the drive here. The reason why we call this Adapt is it has a GPS module inside. So sometimes when you're, looking for directions and things like that, sometimes that speedometer comes up and it reads your speed. This grabs that same GPS signal. So now you don't have to flip, oh, let me turn on my flood, let me turn on my spots. It's 2 hands on the wheel, pedal to the metal, full throttle, and then we're reading your speed. You're going really fast, it's going to give you that distance. Here comes the turn, you hit the brakes for the cut, you get through it, it's nice and wide, back on the throttle, the spot comes back on. The whole time, 2 hands on the wheel, you're just flooring and safety first, right?
I know I'm pumped for that. That is the next upgrade I've got to do to my rig, because those sound absolutely incredible.
They're legit.
Yeah. They look great too. Nice.
Didn't you guys just come out with a new light bar too at a really killer price point?
Yeah, so we also have the E series. So what we ended up doing is the first Adapt bar that we brought out looked completely different to the market. It's great, very successful light. But then we also looked at it as like, what about the people that aren't looking for that different cosmetic and just looking for the functionality? We took our traditional E-Series and we put all that technology in there that gives you a way better price point than the original Adapt, but it gives you all the functionality that we just talked about. So again, even when you go to our top tier Adapt, there's 3 options for you to go with, you know, a very different looking Adapt, top of the line, or a traditional E-Series light bar with the Adapt technology, or the independent light heads.
Killer. One question that we had come in during that, Albert, was from Sarah, is setting up the adapts. Is there anything special that you have to do, or is it?
No, not at all. Literally, you know, like I said, sometimes you're meeting up with some friends, or you're on a vacation, or you got to get to a destination, you type in that address, and once in a while it pops up that speedometer, it grabs the same thing. So the way it is, 3 wires, one's your common ground, and then one's your all on. If you just say, hey, I don't even want to deal with all that, I just want the whole light to power on, that's an option for you. You just wire the red wire, you're full on every time. Or say you like that Adapt technology, it's also power management. So the reason why we did it, not only besides the changing beam patterns, we're able to get it brighter for you. You know, when you turn on the whole light, you're spreading all that amperage everywhere. But when you're in Adapt mode, you're pulling back where you don't need it. If you're going 15, 20 miles an hour through the cut, you don't need to see a mile down the road. We're dropping down amperage on the spot, and we're pumping it into the side spill and giving you as much as we can in the angles. Now here comes the straight lane. Now you're full throttle. You're not going to need too much side, so we pull a little bit of that and we start pushing it out into the spot. But that's the only one. So the E-Series Adapt and the XP's Adapt, just 3 wires. The original Adapt that we came out with, yeah, that one's a little different. You have some external components. You have a switch panel to run the Adapt with 8 different beam patterns you can change from, and then you have a GPS module that you can connect into the brain if you decide to utilize the GPS version of it. We learned a lot from that. Still a stellar product, still one of our top 10. But now we try to kind of, obviously, technology gets better and better every year. So we try and stay on top of that and bring that innovation into our product.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hopefully that helped answer that question. But yeah, that gets me more excited just how easy they are to use.
Yeah. So. One last feature on the Adapt, only on the Adapt XPs, there's a magnet that comes with it. So say you're limited on power. These, without that magnet inside, runs at 80 watts. But say, you know, there's a lot of like dirt bikes or power sports, you know, UTVs where you're a little bit more limited, or you have to commit to a secondary battery system. You put that magnet back in. As soon as the magnet goes in, it drops down to 40 watts. So we even give you some options there.
Man, it sounds bulletproof and idiot proof. Even a guy like me could go out and install them. So that is phenomenal.
And if you ruin them, they got a lifetime warranty.
There you go. There you go.
Let's try not to promote people putting them in bad locations so they get smashed, though. Yeah.
Yes.
Ain't that the truth? But you know, just like on was that the Freightliner that you have out there? Your option was down low, you know, and sometimes it just happens. Obviously, we have a really tough polycarbonate lens. It can take a beat. If you guys have never seen our torture test video, we were the first in the game to do it. YouTube rigid torture test video, excessive. But you'll see why we do that lifetime warranty is we're putting them out there because we're trying to go pound for pound on what it is that you're trying to have fun and not worry about your equipment and just worry about having a good time.
I've only broke one my entire time with rigid in the last like 3 or 4 years. I've only broke one, and that was because a rock the size of a baseball came out of SoCal Eric Suspensions Volkswagen or supercharged Volkswagen bug. It's basically like my old OG bug at like Mach 10, and broke my lens, and I was bummed, and then posted it and like, no big deal, we got a warranty even though you're sponsored. If that was anyone else, we'd replace it. And I'm like, that's the shit.
But that's the cool thing about having Blake on the squad. I was lucky enough to hang out with Blake before he came on board, and us pushing to bring him on board. And the reason why is, he's everything that Rigid looks for from an end consumer, as a partner, I mean, you guys see the Life roller coaster that he's on. It's a great ride he's doing, and doing it all for himself. But he does what he speaks to. You know, it's not some guy that has someone else doing it for them, which is, you know, we got the money to do it. But this guy is putting the product to the test, and then the feedback that comes. I mean, he doesn't bite his tongue. He'll tell you how it is and what's a good idea and what's not. So it's always great to have those brainstorming sessions with Blake.
Heck
I
yeah.
definitely have enjoyed being part of the process, and I know we got more in the works.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I think next week we're dropping for the people that already have the 360 series lights in the 4 or the 6-inch. We're dropping next week where you can buy just the covers and you don't have to buy the entire light package. So for those people that already have the 360 series, now you can buy the covers. If you don't have the 360 series, which is my favorite light, you can buy the whole Shreddy package, and it's not really a whole lot more than the standard 360 series lights.
well, you heard it here first, folks. Product drop right here in the masterclass. Love it, man.
I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about that.
Oh yeah. You're all good.
My bad.
It's Shreddy sponsor, Shreddy drop. Yeah, that's been a great project, you know, in limited time or limited supplies on the actual whole package with the lights and the covers. It's been a good run with those. There's a few out there still. But then we're gonna obviously keep the covers going because there was a lot of inquiries. Oh man, I just bought my 360s, but I need those Shreddy covers. We'll have that solution for you guys in the next couple weeks.
Heck yeah. Killer. Kelly had one more on adapt, if we can swing back to it.
Yeah.
Adapt mode, and is it strictly off-road use, or is it something that you can use for an on-road light as well?
I mean, all our lights, you know, are off-road applications. We do offer street legal lighting. It's a good point to add just because our SAE street legal lights is, you know, a lot of people you start bringing up, especially when you're talking like off-road and performance and all that, and then you bring in street legal. Street legal, it's not because it's not bright. You know, if you have a modern car, you're noticing the difference in your headlights, that strong cutoff, it just cuts off. That's what we do with our SAE product. Especially in the automotive aftermarket, a lot of people are getting aftermarket bumpers. You got to lift the truck, you know, things like that. You're putting different bumpers in there, so you're yanking out that lower half. So we do have an SAE line that will keep you legit on the streets. Make sure you don't get into any trouble. Has the SAE marked right on the lens, and it's because it's a nice tight beam pattern. No one's gonna flash you. It stays nice and low. It actually is a good off-road light too when you're out there. I've got it in. I've taken a ride into the dirt with them, and you see everything you need. Obviously, I got some auxiliary lights to turn it on the faster I go. But it's a nice light. Adapt though, no, they grow too much vertically. Street legal lights must stay low and have a nice cutoff.
Yeah, perfect. Well,
Yeah. Just because I have them on my toter home doesn't mean I'm using them on the streets so much.
It's pulling into the dirt and to the events.
I mean, sometimes when you're in the middle of BFE, man, it's raining and it's dark out, and there's no light on the road. I mean, those other headlights, they'll freaking, and I mean, yeah, they'll help keep you safe and like keep you awake. Because if it's just dark everywhere and you're in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah, I mean, no different than your high beams, you know, you're courteous with them. But everyone always likes that extra side spill, especially when there's elk around, deer. You'd rather see it coming than just be surprised. But I will say our street legal stuff, you guys should check it out. There's a lot of knowledge or information on our website, or call our customer service. That beam spreads out really wide.
perfect. Well, Candace, I've got one from her. Candace, you put a few into the chat, and I see you. And no, we don't just answer questions from Elite members. We answer questions from everybody that's into the chat. So yeah, let's get into one of them that you had. Would you use the red lights on the trails, or is that more for the look? So I'm guessing, Candace, you have to clarify, but more like
dirt. Yeah. I made a comment earlier about, you know, red, you know, having a really good punch. Red forward, it just causes confusion. Unfortunately, I wouldn't recommend it. People are going to think that it's not someone coming towards them. They're going to think it's someone driving away or at a standstill. Red but wouldn't recommend personally.
Unless you're grave digger.
That guy can do whatever he wants.
Let's see. Candace had one more. For the 4x4 lights that shine red, can you put amber covers on them, or do you have to have the plate to make them amber? So I'm guessing she's talking about like the lens cover behind it versus like the snap-on ones that Blake showed earlier.
Yeah. So like here's an example. If you want to have the option of running a white and an amber, you want to order the white light, just the standard part number, and then order the cover that snaps right on. But there's a lot of people that either cosmetically want that color, or they just know they love that colorway. It is a fact that amber can help with eye fatigue. You know, it's a little less hard on the eyes. Like, so a lot of racers will start amber then switch to white. Going from white to amber, you know, it's not a bad thing, but it's the eye fatigue, especially with racers. You know, they're staying focused. But if you want that full amber look, we do sell a line that has the amber lens already on it. Again, that's just for someone that doesn't want the cover look and just wants that full amber. But if you want a dual color light, buy the standard, buy the cover, flash right on. They made out of the same material as their lens. They grab on, they don't shake, they don't rattle off. They really stay on, they're really tight.
It gives it another protective layer too. If you're driving on the streets a lot and you have vehicles in front of you, it's just, they kick up road debris, and you know, they're susceptible to a lot of the elements. So those covers, you know, you can pull those covers off and clean them. It's also can become a wear item as well.
Yep.
All right, last one we've got from the crowd, and I think I've got a couple more for you guys. Russell, you're going to get last call on this. For everybody else, I promise we'll send them over to the Rigid guys, or call the customer service team at Rigid. They'd be happy to help you work through any of your additional questions on it. And then we'll come back to one other at the end, but Russell should you use lighting to be seen during the day, like on a narrow forestry road, on a climb or descent? Well, I guess, what would you recommend while you still have sunlight?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of roads in at least San Diego, the mountains, that, you know, say turn your headlights on, you know, to just make it's just an identifier. And if it's bright out, you can have some pretty dang bright lights on, and it doesn't affect you like it does when your eyes are kind of adjusted for the darkness. So, I mean, these Rigid lights are definitely super bright during the day, but at night, they're 10 times brighter. But I mean, if they're doing it for safety on the roadways, then in the day in the forestry or trails or anything of that nature, it could help.
Perfect. Well, guys, we're almost out of time. You've been super generous with us this evening. Thank you for that. I've got one more thing for each of you, if you wouldn't mind answering it. You all get to talk to so many different folks at events and online and whatnot. What are some of the things that we haven't talked about tonight that you'd want somebody to know as they're looking to set up the lights for their rig?
I mean, look no further than Rigid. I mean, if they didn't work, I wouldn't run them, because literally every asset that I have is a different stepping stone of my bank account. I don't really have a bank account. I have mobile assets, and I'm using Rigid lights to protect those assets in the nighttime. So, you know, if you're setting up, like he said, there's different applications for every vehicle. Just, I guess, ask someone for help. Call Rigid, send me a direct message, and I'll do my best to help facilitate what you need.
Yeah, exactly. Call the customer service line. They're going to be able to give you plenty of options. You know, not everyone's driving a race rig. Some people, they're not going as fast. So we have different options. We also, you know, our product, there's a lot of components that go inside of it that build it to the extreme, because we don't know where the light's going to land. I mean, from industrial, mining, you know, all these automotive applications we're talking about. to land in those type of environments, there's a lot of components we got to be ready for. Even just the voltage, 9 to 36 volt system. We don't need that in automotive. So we have other lines that give you great output, don't break the bank, get you on the rigid team, get you the lifetime warranty, and you have plenty of output. You know, we're just dropping our Revolve series. That is a new series coming in. That is a great entry level light. It's actually going to be a huge difference to the UTV market because of the power management. But what that light does, it has all the integrity of rigid. We tried some new stuff that's new to the market that we're going to be happy with, but it doesn't put you at our pro level where you have crazy amount of output, because you won't need it. You need excessive output, but we have the right package for you at different price points.
It's still there. I remember seeing the prototype last summer when I was out that way, and it's clean, it's sleek, it's slim, it's got a backlight on it still. It's got a little bit different optic than anything I've seen on your guys' light bars in a while. Kind of similar to, I think, the Radiance light, but at like half the cost.
That is killer. I think there's been a ton of product stuff that if anybody that was here live, or if you're going to watch this again on YouTube, if you're not drooling, then I don't know what's wrong with you, because I saw a bunch of stuff that I want to go upgrade with. Guys, thanks so much for joining tonight. Where can we find y'all? If anybody wants to get in touch with Blake, watch the new film that's going to drop, where should folks go to find it?
My Instagram's just my first and last name, and then my classic dirt bike number. So Blake Wilkey 357 from the moto days. Our YouTube is Shreddy Lyfe, Lyfe, for life, how it's spelled out. We got a ton of content on there, ton of stuff, from everything from the Class 11 to the trophy truck to Jeeping and all that good stuff. But that's where Urban Assault 3 will be dropped on August 13th. If you watch it, you enjoy it, share it with your friends, send it to the group text or group chats, freaking blast that shit on social media platforms, because we want to show basically that some freaking broke ass East County boy made it.
That's right.
Like
Yeah. You can always call our customer service line. Anyone can help. I'm on the ground, not as famous as Wilkie, but rigid_Albert. Always happy to answer any questions there. That is a great platform to just interact with end users and even shop. Some of you guys are shop owners. Let me know how I can help you, you know, on your end. But rigid_Albert, happy to help any way I can.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you both for joining us tonight. For everybody that dialed in and saw it live, thanks so much for taking out some time of your evening and hearing about the best lights in off-roading. Again, thank you for being onX members as well. We'll keep doing these things as long as you all keep asking for them. So this is a great way to kind of hit Elite Week right in the middle of the week with really the best lighting solutions you can buy. So thanks again. Check us out on YouTube as well. This will be posted there, and I'm sure we'll see you all soon. Have a great evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, boys. We're getting back to it. We got a ton of shit to do.
See y'all.
Later, guys.